Good afternoon. Sean Webber, I've got him on the line. Sean, I just thought it'd be nice if you can do a nice little quick intro where you are and what you're currently doing.
Thanks, Craig. Sean Webber, Director of Bravo Foods. Chef by trade. You can see we've got a chef jacket, so got various culinary qualifications. Spent a few years in my youth working in Scotland to gain some international experience. Then went on and came back to South Africa and started to work here. Got an honours level postgraduate diploma in higher education. Spent some time at Gibbs Business School doing strategic management and leadership. I've been involved in various sectors of hospitality over the last 20 years, from hotels to lodges, culinary education, culinary schools, then on to corporate catering, and then more recently joined some business partners in Bravo Foods.
Bravo Foods, what is your current role in the industry at your factories?
Our role within the industry, we have three consolidated divisions in the company. Our kitchen produces around 100 tons of bulk meal products into national retailer hot delis. Our bakeries supply national retailers with a retail-ready solution of a defrost and sell product. Pizzas, we almost finished setting up a bespoke frozen pizza factory right in the middle of COVID, so it is possible to service a national retail with 150,000 frozen pizzas a month, which is fantastic for not only for our company but also for South Africa, as this is now exchanging an imported product. So this product that they've now ceased to import was coming from Germany and now be locally manufactured with us. And this is amazing, Craig, just for not only for South Africa but also for Durban, creating employment and making sure that we put ourselves on the map to be able to manufacture these sort of products and keep hospitality going. I think our role in the market is mainly to offer convenience, standardization and cost effectiveness. Standardization through central production is massive worldwide and is very prominent in first world environments. So we know that there's a shift towards this sort of production, and we aim to utilize our products to offer meals to majority of the country, so at all different LSM levels. In fact, most people have probably eaten our meals without even knowing it.
Do you see different needs arising between the different channels like hotels, restaurants, delis, etc., in order to win in these areas?
I think within the whole scope of hospitality, there's many different needs arising, Craig. I think with spatial distancing, you'll see I use the word spatial, not social. People with less ability or loath to move around, we'll find that eating and getting entertainment has changed, and it's changed the world of hospitality forever. Business and these channels are not going to be the same going forward. So sit-down dining facilities, for example, will need to be proactive with their spatial distancing, not only for customers but also for their staff. Delis are changing. The fact that the government's not allowed the sale of hot food means that they showed concerns about interaction between people. So, as chefs and as members of the hospitality industry, we need to find innovative ideas to keep alive. And, chefs are those sort of characters. So we see calls for smaller portions. We see people wanting to not handle product too much, a shift towards convenience. The rise of the take-home semi-prepared box has started and is birthed already, and we'll find that will grow over time. Hospitality has to adapt, and drawing in a different clientele is going to be important. Understanding what people have the ability to spend on afterwards is going to be important, and making sure we've got the offering ready for them. And we're hearing stories from abroad of places and restaurants that are open already, that are offering things like themed evenings, trying to get people to different groups of people to come in, younger groups of people, having mother and daughter evenings, as well as offering heightened levels of service. So trying to treat their customers a little bit better than maybe they used to, and making sure that they're going to come back, and making sure that the business that they get comes to to them and not necessarily to another competitor around the corner. So yeah, I think being innovative and trying to make some changes is going to be important. It's going to be the way forward.
Important points there. A question on the COVID-19 rules and regulations. Do you think our industry are capable of introducing this thing back at work and putting in all the legal things?
So Craig, it gets quite complex, I think, and I think it's what's scaring a lot of people away at the moment is the fact that there's a lot of legislation being thrown around and there's a lot of rules, and people aren't too sure exactly of what they need to do to, number one, trade, and number two, what we have to do if we want to trade and actually get our people in and keep them safe. So my view on the whole thing is quite simple, is that within kitchens and within those sort of environments, we have most of these things in place already. So when we talk about the theory of separation, when we talk about cross-contamination within kitchens, the people within our realms of staff, they actually understand how to do these things already, and we have a lot of those systems in place currently across the board. So after Listeria scare a year or two ago, there was new regulations put in, and everybody's moving towards utilizing those sort of systems and processes to manufacture, even in the takeaway environment. So it's important that everyone understand that we actually got a very strong base already as chefs, and within the kitchen, we've just got to look at mainly the separation of people. I've been talking about the separation of hands to face. The whole theory of don't touch your face is very, very important. We need to make sure that this is widely known, and you can do anything with your hands in between touching your face. So we talk about sanitization and whatever else. You can actually deal with any sort of product or touch any door handle or any sort of product that's around, but make sure that you sanitize or wash your hands properly before actually touching your face. Our only risk as human beings with this COVID virus is our ears, our eyes, nose and mouth. So it's important that we understand that there's separation that needs to be had, and that we've actually got a good base already in the kitchens, and we just need to build on that with the regulations that are there, keeping spatial distance between people when they're entering, when they're in change rooms, etc., etc. Those things are all going to become important, and those are the difficult things to put in place. And once we start working with them, I think that people will find that our staff as well are also quite proactive at making sure that they kept safe too.
Under the current situation, what do you think the chefs or the industry needs at this time? Is it more information, or is it going into the new norm with food deliveries? What kind of information are they looking for out there?
Craig, I think the chefs out there are desperate for assistance, both mentally and physically. They need ideas to spark innovation within the business and their workplaces. The new normal, I think, will force this, but we'll have to be proactive and get moving to make these actual changes. All change takes a process, and the best time is to start now. So that being said, being social we need to get the chefs back to interacting with their peers, interacting with their staff. Mentally, they need the strength to get through the difficult times. And physically, we need the information of people and teams that can innovate around what they have. So, when customers return to support them, they need to stimulate the customers, they need to stimulate new ideas for them, they need to stimulate new products, new innovation, ways to make them feel safe, because we'll find that people will be loath to get out and move around. We need to make sure that these people feel safe to be in the restaurants and facilities so that they can actually be serviced by us. And chefs love to serve, and they need to get back to people in the seat so that they can serve them and start to innovate for them.
You're right. I think the industry has to start giving to getting, and I think that value also is key here as well. I think people are going to look for value for money and combos and that type of thing. We were on a call yesterday, you and I, Sean, with a couple of chefs from the industry, and one of them brought up the anxiety and depression and stuff like that. Do you think it's become more and more relevant in our industry now with this kind of situation?
So yeah, I think that chefs being servants of the industry, we love to serve, and we know that people are out there waiting for us to be back into servicing them. And we've seen a lot of people both contact myself and various people on the different forums and social media, where the guys are crying out for help. They're looking for reassurance, they're looking for information, they're looking for somebody to assist them or guide them and say, guys, does anybody know what's going to happen after this? And that they're uncertain of the future and their jobs, their careers, and it's a heavy burden to carry, and it's quite a difficult thing to actually deal with. And it's something that I think it needs to be addressed.
So when it comes to mental well-being, etc., Unilever Food Solutions has just launched the Fair Kitchens, which we have now a toll-free helpline, and it's 24/7. And I think it's come at the right time. But I was just wondering, what's the best way you think that we should try and encourage chefs to get onto this Fair Kitchens platform?
The helpline is going to be a lifeline for many, Craig. I think that we're quite stubborn by nature. We don't like to talk to different people. The people that we spend time with traditionally as chefs, we don't really like to talk about our problems, if that makes sense. So the helpline is actually really going to give people an opportunity to be able to pick up the phone and phone somebody who's anonymous, and they can chat to on a small level, in a deep level, and hopefully that'll be able to help the guys to get through the tough times and get back on track so that we can get back to feeding people and innovating.
Sean, quick positive learnings that you think you've picked up through the COVID virus?
Personally, I've managed to stay afloat. I think that the inspiration of having team around me, I've worked through the whole period. So, having the inspiration of my staff and needing to inspire them and keeping them positive has really motivated me. I've felt that, there's been a lot of negativity around, and I've found personally that, being able to spend time and trying to give them strength and motivation has made me be able to get up the next day. And, this is something that I think chefs should pass on to one another, and try and be there for each other. So, having the helpline is something to call as well is going to be fantastic for them when they can't find somebody to chat to or aren't feeling comfortable to chat with somebody. But we definitely are moving forward.
And then also another key element is, what is your balance between work, family, and obviously the speed to turn things around and in your lives? What thing can you think of that you've learned through this time and you'll never forget?
There's been a lot of positive come out of this, so we mustn't think that it's all doom and gloom through COVID and through shutdown. I think that some of the best poetry and artworks and novels were written under confinement. So, having people sit and think about their roles and responsibilities and what they do and how things are going to be coming out of this is an amazing way to innovate and get the brain thinking. Spending time with family. I've seen recently there's a lot of people who are baking together. The baking shelves in the retailers are all getting stripped, and people are going back and pulling out grandma's banana bread recipe and starting to manufacture those sort of things in their homes and sharing them around with their families and whatever. So it's important that we do find the positives. I personally have enjoyed spending time with my kids in the kitchen over the last period. A few other things that I think have come out of this is humor. I've seen there's a lot of humorous stuff going around about people getting confined in their homes, and people start to assess and analyze their own behaviors, and we start to see patterns emerging and whatever worldwide, and it's quite amazing to see that. And I think having the ability to be able to just laugh at ourselves is also quite important, to be able to laugh at humankind and be able to say that we're actually all we actually all got our own problems, and we all got similar problems, and that these things can get dealt with as well. And you know, everyone's in the same boat, so it's important to be able to see that too.
Regarding when it comes to local products and people making things in our country, do you think that this COVID is going to force companies, businesses, private individuals, etc., to start looking for local and making local? Do you think there's a gap here in the market?
So Craig, I definitely see that happening, and I think it's happening already. There's a lot of shift towards the fact that, number one, the world economy is in a battling, and that importing products expensive, as well as the ability to get some of the products. So, you know, being able to manufacture locally is going to become something that's very important going forward for the country. I think that supporting local is going to be the next big trend. So people, you know, not traveling too far to go and have a dinner, they will, you know, stay in their little local communities. And, you know, then also people, you know, for the fear of traveling, will stay within the country, and, you know, rather than travel abroad, be able to stay, you know, locally in the country, and, you know, kind of explore the beautiful country that we've got, rather than spending their money abroad. What we are seeing is that the smaller local suppliers or manufacturers are getting a little bit more of an opportunity now than what they had before. So there's a lot of positivity around that, where some of the national retailers have actually taken some of those small little manufacturers from their cities and towns, all locally, and actually put the product on the shelves, and allowed them to sell through their national retailer, you know, retail sort of store, where normally they wouldn't have that sort of opportunity. And I think it's passes on a great message of Ubuntu, and you know, the feeling of togetherness, and being able to just be able to, you know, keep us all together and support the person next to you. We don't have to look too far for a lot of these products, and if we actually focus on opening our eyes and seeing what's around us rather than looking abroad first, we will find that, you know, it's going to benefit our economy, as well as create employment. So I think it's a great thing to come of this, and I think that the whole world is talking about how do we support ourselves, and this is going to be a great shift for a lot of countries around the world.
Yeah, local is lekker and proudly South African. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks very much, Craig. Thanks for having me.